Warm greeting, everyone. I'm Divya and I'm excited to connect with you all in this session. And today we are going to discuss about sunscreen, get the sun's glow without the pain. So let's get started. Today we have our expert, Dr. Lata Rijhwani, for today's session. She has done MBBS and postgraduate diploma in pediatrics from R&T Medical College, Udaipur, and postgraduate diploma in dermatology from Cardiff University, UK. She is currently practicing at Jaipur. Dr. Lata, you always bring lots of information to our viewers. So it's really nice to meet you virtually, Dr. Lata. So, ma'am, how are you doing today?
I am very good, Divya, and thank you for having me once again. It's my pleasure.
Yeah. So, without any delay, should we dive into the session?
Yeah, sure.
So, as our topic is sunscreen, so for today's session, my first question is like, what is sunscreen? What is UV radiation?
Yeah. Divya, I think in today's time, the sunscreens are so popular that I think everyone knows about, and as the name suggests, sunscreens are the compounds that protect you from the harmful effects of sun rays. And if we talk precisely, the sun rays means the ultraviolet radiation that is coming from the sun rays. This is which is making the changes or the damage, you can say. So if you ask about ultraviolet radiation, of course, the natural source of ultraviolet radiation is the sun, and UV radiation mainly has three types of rays. It is UVA, UVB, and UVC. And the most harmful rays, thankfully, UVC, they do not reach the Earth's surface. So we are mainly concerned about the harmful effects of UVA and UVB. And so over the time, we'll be talking about the harm that is caused by, if you just for the audience, just to make it easy to memorize, the UVA is mainly responsible for the aging and wrinkles, A for aging, and UVB is mainly responsible for sunburn. And of course, both of them are responsible for the skin cancer. And nowadays, because of the depletion of the ozone layer, because of the pollution and so many other factors, the sun damage has become, increasingly more common.
Thank you, Dr. Lata, for explaining what is sunscreen and what is UV radiation to our viewers. So moving to our next question. So why to use a sunscreen?
Yeah, Divya. As I told, see, sun, everybody is familiar that the sun rays are harmful to the skin. And as I already told, there are two types of rays which are the main culprits. So let me just first tell you about what all the sun rays can harm us in how many ways. Of course, everybody is familiar that the photo damage, photo aging, fine lines, wrinkles, and everybody knows that skin cancers are caused because of the sun rays. And but thankfully, if I talk about the Indian subcontinent and the type of skin that the Indian people have or the Asians have, the type of skin we have is not very fair skin. We have a wheatish or brownish skin, which has more melanin in them. And so we are naturally sun protected to some extent. And thankfully, in this part of the world, the skin cancer is not such a major concern as compared to the people who are very fair and who have less melanin, and which makes them more prone to the harmful effects of the sun. So you'll see that the fair people, they'll have more of freckles, they will have more wrinkles, and also they are more prone to the skin cancers. So if you talk about the people in routine, see, definitely the sunscreens protect you from aging, from tanning, from pigmentation issues. And so cosmetically, if you ask, ideally everyone should be wearing a sunscreen, all through the year. But if, as a dermatologist, as a clinical dermatologist, if you ask me, there are certain conditions in which it is mandatory that a person, wears a sunscreen. For example, those who have melasma, those who have family history of cancer, Some of them are allergic to sun rays. They have photoallergic dermatitis and things like that. There are certain autoimmune disorders that make you prone to the harmful effects of sunlight. And there are certain genetic conditions like albinism, xeroderma pigmentosum, and so on and so forth. So the medical conditions that mandate the use of sunscreen is one category. And the other is if you want to look younger, if you want clear skin, even toned skin, you should be wearing sunscreen on a daily basis.
Thank you, Dr. Lata. You explained the details in very well and in great depth why to use a sunscreen. So moving to our next question. So you explained like why to use sunscreen, what is sunscreen. So what are the different types of sunscreen broadly classified as?
Yeah, see, it is very important to know that because nowadays the markets, they are flooded with sunscreens. Like surprisingly, before 2 decades or so, nobody was knowing what a sunscreen is. And now suddenly even the teenage girls, they know about sunscreen. Everybody is. But most of the times what I see in the OPD, patients are confused, and everybody is just, following the social media, and they don't have proper knowledge so as how to choose a sunscreen. So if you classify it, see, the sunscreens are two types. One is a physical sunscreen, which is also known as sunblock. And I'll come to it that why it is known as sunblock. Then there are chemical sunscreens, which are also known as organic sunscreens. Now, the categorization is on the basis of how they protect us from sun rays. See, the physical sunscreens, they kind of make a layer or a shield on your skin. They sit on your skin and they reflect the sun rays, and they do not allow the sun rays to enter your skin. The other mechanism is the chemical sunscreens. Now, the chemical sunscreens have certain chemicals that absorb the UV rays, convert it into heat, and do not let them go inside the skin to cause a deeper damage. Now, apart from this too, I'll come to the formulations of sunscreens, like how many forms they're available. But the physical and chemical sunscreens are the two broad classifications of sunscreens, depending on the mechanism of action and the ingredients present in them. The physical sunscreens, they have mainly zinc oxide, titanium dioxide, iron oxide, and so on. The chemical sunscreens have mainly aminobenzenes, they have, oxybenzone and things like that. So they have different chemicals.
Thank you, Dr. Lata, for sharing the insights on types of sunscreen. So viewers, we are live on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, YouTube. So hop on your favorite social media and let us know your doubts about the sunscreen as we are discussing about the sunscreen at their basics with Dr. Lata Rijhwani. So let's back to our topic. So Dr. Lata, how does the sunscreen formulation matter?
Yeah, I was coming to that. See, the two types of sunscreens, a little later we'll discuss that how they are different and how do they, I told you how do they act, but then when to choose which one. And then coming to the formulation, see, a lot of formulations are available nowadays. You can see sunscreen creams, cream form, lotion form, there are gels, there are even sprays. Nowadays, you even get the powder forms, in the form of foundation, in the form of compact. So there are a lot of formulations available, and you have to choose the formulation according to your skin type. For example, if you have a very dry skin, or in winter season, you can choose cream forms. And if you have acne prone skin, you have oily skin, you sweat a lot, then you can use gel based, you can choose gel based sunscreens. If you're going on beach, for example, and you need to apply sunscreen all over your body, for example, then you can choose a spray sunscreen because it will be easier to spread them. Again, lotions are very helpful if you have to cover large areas. And then if you are, for example, you want to reapply the sunscreen every 3-4 hours, which we'll talk about later, you can have the sunscreen in, compact form. I'm talking about the ladies. It comes in stick form, which are very easy to reapply. So there are a lot of options available, and you can choose according to your own comfort and your skin type, the weather in which you live, and so on.
Thank you, Dr. Lata, for sharing your knowledge. So, viewers, before moving further, let me tell you that eGlobal Doctors is providing diet consultation. We have variety of featured categories as diabetes remission, detox program, weight loss, child nutrition, gut health, etc. We will help you to reverse your chronic disease and we will hold your hands from the beginning till you achieve optimal health. Our approach is totally scientific along with some holistic transformation. So register with us today at eglobalDoctors.com and book your appointment to get a proper nutrition coaching. So moving to our next question, Dr. Lata. So like you explained, there are different types of sunscreen, like the physical one and the chemical one. So how to choose a sunscreen which is best for us?
Yeah. See, coming to the pros and cons of both kind of sunscreens, the most popular ones that we get in the market, they are the chemical sunscreens. But as a dermatologist, when we come across the patients who have sensitive skin, those who have allergies, not all sunscreens suit them. Physical sunscreen is a better choice because it is less likely to cause allergies and it mostly suits all the skin types. It is safe from a very young age. It is safe in pregnancy. So physical sunscreens for me will be a better choice. And physical sunscreen, the good thing about them is that you need not apply them 20 to 30 minutes prior to the sun exposure, as we tell the patients in case of chemical sunscreens, because chemical sunscreens, it takes some time to act. Whereas physical sunscreens, once you put them, you are ready to go. They will have immediate effect. And the only disadvantage is that aesthetically, physical sunscreens are not very acceptable by the patients because sometimes they leave a white cast. You must have seen the players. Sometimes you can just see a chalky appearance on their face. So those people who have prolonged sun exposure, those who are, for example, going for mountaineering, hiking, swimming, and in the snow, for example, they need a good thick layer of sunscreen. And in that case, physical sunscreen is an ideal choice. And if you look at the white cast, sometimes the patients, they don't like it. But nowadays, we have excellent formulations which do not have that issue of white cast as well. The chemical sunscreens, they have matte finish. You will not feel that you have applied anything. They have a silky finish and they are more acceptable by the patients. The only thing is because of lots of chemicals in the chemical sunscreen and because they are absorbed inside the skin, sometimes the patients may develop allergies to those sunscreens, and not everyone, they don't suit all the people. So you can choose the formulation according to, sometimes sunscreen is a bit tricky product, like not that you bought one from the market and okay, you will usually people change 2 or 3 sunscreen formulations until they find the best one for them. And I will always suggest that rather than going over the counter and experimenting by yourself, you can go to your dermatologist and then take prescription based sunscreen and let them decide or choose one that is best for you.
Yeah. So Dr. Lata, so like what is SPF and what is the significance? Like is sunscreen 100% effective?
Yeah, SPF, a very common label. All the sunscreens, they bear this label. And SPF, the full form is sun protection factor. And SPF, basically, it tells you that how much you are protected against UVB radiation. See, I talked about that we have to be concerned about both UVB as well as UVA sunscreen. So when you are choosing a sunscreen, make sure that it's a broad spectrum sunscreen. So SPF only denotes the protection against UVB. And if you have looked at the sunscreen labels carefully, nowadays we get the plus rating, PA rating, which is called. The PA rating tells you about the UVA protection and SPF tells you about the UVB protection. So SPF, see, for our skin, the Indian skin, or those who are not going for prolonged sun exposures, for example, sports person and, on the beaches and mountains, as I mentioned, SPF 15 to 30 is good enough for them. And that means that your skin will be protected that much as compared to if you were not wearing a sunscreen. For example, if you are wearing a sunscreen, you will be protected 1/30th time then as against you were not wearing. So SPF 30 is good enough for you, and the SPF 30 gives about 96 to 97% protection. SPF 50 will give 98% of protection, and SPF 100 will give 99%. So as much as the SPF increases, it is not 100% effective. So it is better that you stick to SPF of 30 to 50, which is good enough for our scenario. And when you increase the SPF, it just increases the stickiness of the preparation. It increases the cost. So there is no use buying sunscreens more than 30 or 40 SPF. And of course, we have to look at the PA rating. The PA rating, if it is more than 3+, that means it gives a very good protection against UVA as well. So make sure that your sunscreen is broad spectrum, and don't forget to check the PA rating as well, apart from SPF.
Thank you, Dr. Lata, for sharing the insights on SPF and effectiveness of the sunscreen. So I wanted to ask, in the market, we have seen the lip sunscreen. So how does that work?
Sunscreen for lips, you mean?
Yeah. So,
yeah, this is
so
a very
So how does that work?
See, very important point mentioned by you, Divya, because most of the times what happens is that people just focus on the sunscreen, putting sunscreen on the face. They ignore or they neglect the ears, the temple area, the neck, and the lips, which are equally important. So there are lip balms in the market that they are with SPF. So when you go, whenever you are applying sunscreen, don't forget your lips. Don't forget to put lip balm with SPF on your lips. So if you have to put sunscreen, it has to be, you have to cover your neck. You have to cover the hidden areas as well. And of course, do not forget your lips.
Yeah. So thank you, Dr. Lata, for sharing the information. So before hopping to our next question, viewers, eGlobal Doctors is one complete healthcare platform solution for all your medical related issues and questions. And मजे की बात यह है that you have these services available to you at your fingertips, without breaking your bank balance and without driving all in the comfort of your living room. So viewers, we are live on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, so hop on your favorite social media. We are live with Dr. Lata Rijhwani and discussing about the sunscreen and its basics. So let's back to our topic. So should we wear sunscreen even indoors?
As I mentioned before, see, there are certain skin conditions in which we are very particular that you shouldn't be having any sun exposure, because the UV radiation is also coming from other sources other than sun. And of course, the screen lights nowadays, the lights from mobiles, laptops, the blue light which is coming, that also does some harm to your skin. But if you are having normal skin, you don't have any allergies, you are not working round the clock on the screen, and you are living a normal routine life, I am against applying sunscreen all through the day indoors. I think nobody applies it correctly and in correct amount. So it's just exposing your skin to a chemical. And yes, if it is mandatory, we always tell our patients, but as a routine, no, I don't recommend using it for indoors.
Okay. So viewers, if you have any allergies or skin problems, there is no need to worry, because we are here to help you at the comfort of your home. And you can reach out to experts like Dr. Lata Rijhwani if you need any help regarding skin care or skin problems. So Dr. Lata, there are any other methods of sun protection apart from sunscreen?
Definitely. You should not rely on sunscreen alone. And especially while going out, I mean, when you have prolonged sun exposure, you are going on vacation where you are supposed to have a prolonged sun exposure. Do not depend on SPF itself. One, that, as I told you, even SPF 100 will give you only will give you 99% protection only. So it is very important to, use other modes of protection like protective clothing, wearing broad brimmed hats, taking an umbrella, wearing full sleeves clothes, covering your, wearing a scarf to cover your face. I always advise my patients that even if you are wearing a sunscreen, because I'm not sure most of the times what quantity they have applied, most of the times they do not know how much to apply, how often to apply, how to apply. So I tell them to depend more on the protective clothing, and which is very, very important again. First thing is that one should avoid being outdoors unless it is very necessary. Like the sun rays are strongest in between 9 a.m. or 10 a.m. in the morning till 4 or 5 p.m. So it is best to avoid exposure. If it is necessary, if it is part of your work, then you have to take certain other precautions. And of course, there are certain diets that make you, more photoprotective. Like if you take more of vitamin C in your diet, and which is very rich in antioxidant, you are naturally photoprotected. So all these things should be done in combination to protect your skin from the harmful effects of sun. And just don't rely on the cream only.
So, Dr. Lata, you mentioned about like foods we can eat to like protect us from the sun. So, can you mention some foods?
Yeah, as I told you, see, basically, how does the sun damage the skin? The sun, the UV rays, they form the free radicals, reactive oxygen species in the, our cells of the skin. And these free radicals, they lead to the damage and the DNA changes and all that. So whenever we consume antioxidant rich diet, this free radical damage is prevented, and it is sometimes reversed also. So it is always advisable to take lots of vitamin C. You can get vitamin C in lemons, tomatoes, kiwis, strawberries. And if you're not able to take care of your diet, you can take supplements which are rich in vitamin C, lycopene, flavonoids. And nowadays we have compounds known as oral sunscreens also. Nowadays you get things like oral sunscreen. So basically, oral sunscreen is a preparation in which there is a, fern called Polypodium leucotomus, which is very effective photoprotective, entity. So we are also recommending our patients to apply sunscreen and also to take oral sunscreen formulations, take diet rich in antioxidants, take supplements with vitamin C and other antioxidants. So just to have a wholesome protection against sun.
So, hopping to our next question, Dr. Lata, as we discussed about the types of sunscreen and what are the other methods. So, how and how much of sunscreen should be applied to our skin?
You are also applying sunscreen nowadays. Everyone is applying. But when you ask them, so ideally, if to cover your face and neck both, you need at least 1 to 2 teaspoons full of the cream or the preparation to be effective. So this much sunscreen or 2 fingertip units, your 2 fingers should be covered of the, tube, and this whole thing you should be applying. Nobody is applying the adequate quantity. And when we educate them, then only they start applying it judiciously. Also, it has to be applied 3 to 4 hours at least. Nowadays, it's also recommended to every 2 hourly, but I'd say the 2 hourly becomes quite a lot. I think nobody is going to apply. So at least 3 to 4 hours, you have to apply it. And so I emphasize that when the sunscreen has to be applied, it has to be applied nicely, adequately, and it has to be reapplied. Otherwise, don't apply. There's no point taking little cream in your face and applying. It's just of no use. You are wasting your effort and you're wasting your time and money as well. So apply proper amounts for that to be effective.
Last but not the least, so my last question is, are sunscreen overrated? Like, why suddenly so much emphasis, and how they have gained popularity in today's scenario?
Yeah. See, Divya, as I think mentioned before, that before 10, 20 years, like if you ask our grandmothers, mothers, they didn't know this thing called sunscreen. And people really used to have a lot of sun exposure. People used to go, and now, as you said, suddenly it has increased because one, that people are more aware and they're more educated, and now everybody, wants to look younger. They don't want any uneven skin tones. They don't want fine lines, wrinkles. So yes, cosmetically, the use has increased, the awareness has increased, and the incidence of cancers, they have again increased. And so it has become important in day-to-day life to use sunscreens. Also, because of several other factors, like pollution has increased. Because of pollution, the ozone layer has started depleting. So the harmful effects of UVA, UVB, they have increased manyfold. And because of the oxidative stress caused by the emotional stress, the lifestyle, people, smoking, and there's lots of stress in life. So all those things have increased over the years. And so the use of sunscreens has become important. It has become like a routine for people to use sunscreens. Yes, I would say that they are overrated. Overrated in a sense is that if your sun exposure is not so much, like for example, you are a housewife, you are sitting at home, you are not going out anywhere, and simply putting sunscreens just because everyone else is putting, and you are looking at the social media that everyone is putting, and then not using it correctly. So I think that people should be more aware of what they're using. Nobody knows what a sunscreen is. Nobody knows what is a SPF. So some people are just blindly following the crowd. So what I would say is, whatever you apply on your skin, just know about it and ask an expert, and then only you start it. Use correct products, choose wisely, and use correctly.
Yeah. So viewers, we are delighted to announce eGlobal Pharmacy Services for our customers with exclusive 15% discount. Yes, you read that right. This exclusive promotion is made possible through our esteemed partners, Apollo Pharmacy in India and B Pharmacy in the USA. Together, we strive to provide you with the highest quality of medications at affordable prices. So visit now eglobalDoctors.com or download our application now. So, Dr. Lata, like we discussed about all the things, so can you provide a summary on some practical take-home message to those audience who just has joined us?
Yeah, the take-home messages will be that choose a proper sunscreen. Now you have a good knowledge about what is physical, what is chemical, what are the different formulations. So choose a good one, the adequate one. If you can't choose by yourself, take help, and you can ask your dermatologist. Do not just depend on SPF. Take a good diet, a diet rich in antioxidants. Maintain a good, healthy lifestyle. Avoid exposure unless it is very necessary. Depend on protective clothing as well. And wear sunglasses to protect your eyes. Wear a lip balm with SPF to protect your lips. Take an umbrella. And so this is all. I think I have summed up everything, and I would love to have any questions. If any audience has any questions regarding, I'll be happy to answer them.
So before wrapping up the session, viewers, are you looking for an expert second medical opinion for cancer treatment? Well, look no further, because eGlobal Doctors is providing access to top oncologists from across the world. So thank you so much, Dr. Lata. It's always a pleasure to have you in our live sessions. You always bring so much of information. And viewers, no need to worry, as our experts like Dr. Lata Rijhwani are at eGlobal Doctors to help you. So visit now our website, eGlobalDoctors.com. So thank you, doctor. Thank you, audience. So it's a wrap.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you. Bye.